Hi guys. The reading that I chose to do today is called Standing in Your Power. You'll notice in a lot of my videos that I say this phrase, and I was thinking, if someone said that to me like a year ago, I would think that I would have known what it meant, but not fully. And this is really important and able to, in order to be able to stand in your complete truth and being in alignment with mind, body, and soul. That's really what standing in your power is. And there's a lot of reasons why it's difficult for people to do this. And I think part of the problem is just not understanding what standing in your power actually means, but also how do you do that? So in the first spot, it's why we don't stand in our power. And the Six of Earth, or Six of Pentacles, came out, as well as the Eight of Wands. Really, this is like this, okay? Why we don't stand in our power. No balance, no equal give and take. There's two dynamics in unhealthy relationships. One is if you're a people pleaser, or the other if you're a narcissist, basically. There's not an equal reciprocity. It's like either one gives too much or one takes too much. So balancing that out, being firm with your boundaries, your personal boundaries that are healthy, to maintain this within yourself, and then it'll have an effect in your relationships around you. What's interesting about the decks that I chose to use today is this isn't a typical deck. And so the Eight of Wands in this deck is actually about quick action and transformation. That T word again, transformation. But this needs to be transformed within ourselves in order for it to reflect in our relationships. And that's really how we stand in our power, so that either we're not taken advantage of or we're not taking too much. And this is also about, the Eight of Wands is also about communication. Being able to communicate what those boundaries are and what is required for us to maintain balance within ourselves and for healthy relationship dynamics. It's super important. That's the main underlying cause why we don't stand in our power. Every time we allow someone to cross our healthy boundaries and let it slide, it takes away from us and leaves us feeling like this, okay? Out of balance. Those healthy boundaries need to be communicated, and the transformation that needs to happen is actually maintaining those in order to maintain this. In this spot, it's why we're fearful of stepping into our power. So the Six of Fire, which is the Six of Wands, came out. This card is kind of like a double-edged sword. So it's about success and victory and being recognized for the work that is put in for your efforts, but it also can be in a negative, like its shadow side is ego, which leads back to fear. So some people don't like stepping into their power because they don't know how to be recognized for their strengths, which is from fear. It's not necessarily from an egotistical standpoint, but it's more like being fearful of being recognized. But also ego. So what is so hard about the ego death is seeing the truth of yourself and people around you, and that requires honesty within yourself, and that's really hard for some people to actually take an honest look at themselves. But in order to be able to fully step into your power, that's a necessary step, okay? Self-awareness. That's a necessary step in order to be able to step into your power. The clarifier card for this was the King of Earth, or the King of Pentacles. And why we're fearful of stepping into our power? We're worried of losing our sense of stability. And what do I mean by that? What will happen to the relationships that we have in our life if we actually show people who we are? The interesting thing about that, and that's out of ego and fear, okay? But the interesting thing about this is that you can't have true abundance in your life with this distorted perspective. You can't have true, meaningful relationships based in love when you're fearful of actually discovering who you are, self-actualization, because you're worried what people will think about you. You're unable to have true abundance in your life, which is emotional stability and relationships that are built from a solid foundation. It's just not possible. It's not possible. We think that, it is, but it's not. Also, what I took from this is, well, I noticed several repeating themes in this reading. One is like the third eye came out a lot. 3, awareness, self-awareness, but also awareness of other things. The third eye came out a lot in this reading. So I don't know if you guys have heard that quote, I have 2 eyes for observing and 1 for seeing. That's all about using your intuition. And when we don't trust ourselves, we don't listen to our intuition. We listen to our fear-based thoughts from a place of ego to protect ourselves. But that prevents us from being able to truly take an honest look at ourselves and also actually have true abundance in our life. If we're able to flip that, so it's with this energy, then we can actually have true abundance and stability and be victorious and successful in our life based from a place of standing in our true power, our divine truth, mind, body, soul alignment. That's really what stepping into your power means. In the next spot, it's how we can stand into our power. And of course, I'm not surprised, this card came out. Justice, balance, the scales, head and heart, being in alignment. Started with balance here. Well, really, this is how we started. Why we're not standing in our power. But once we're able to have that self-awareness and observe the things that are going on within us, in other words, the decisions that we make in life and the actions that we take based on, if we're using our head or our heart, if we're in alignment with ourselves, that divine truth, mind, body, soul, that's when this can take place. And it'll branch out into other aspects of our life, whether that be career, finances, love, family, whatever the case may be. The clarifier cards for this were the 5 of Cups, which is a feeling of sadness or regret. We hang on to things from the past, and we kind of let it affect our beliefs, our inner belief systems, and we tend to act from that, which causes this lack of balance. What I love about these messages from the divine, they're very paradoxical, which makes sense because human beings are paradoxical. But when we can take the two extremes and balance them, that's divine truth. That's stepping into your power. So here we have the Maiden, who's all about independence, exploration in terms of self, but also about the world. And then we have sadness and regret. Somewhere in the middle is where this can happen. But both are required. Using the experiences that you've had in life to learn the lessons, to grow as a person, to have that inner and outer awareness, using your intuition, all these third eyes, right? Using your intuition to balance this. That's the key. That's the key. Not living in self-pity, because of the 5 of Cups is usually 3 spilled over and 2 behind the image in the card. If only the person would turn around, they would see that there's 2 full cups behind them. It's a perception shift. So it's like learning from the past, but using that knowledge not to stay in this energy. A lot of people get caught up in that and they get stuck in this 5 of Cups energy. Self-pity, sadness, regret, depression, because their mind isn't in the present. But then here, this is all about new beginnings, growth, self-awareness. So using those experiences from the past to move forward and grow as a person, that's where the balance lies. That's where the source of your power will come from. In the next spot, it's what could be accomplished by standing in your power. This spot was one of the most awesome spots to me because it's the 10 of Fire and the 10 of Air, so the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords. This is about endings. This is about releasing excess in your life. This is just before, so the 10s are the last thing before it goes back to 1. 10s are endings of things. Releasing things that are not serving you for your highest good anymore. Anything that you're hanging on to from the past that's causing that self-pity, self-doubt, because this is also about self-doubt, but then this is also about confidence. So it's flipping the perspective, right? Flipping the perspective by learning the lesson in order to expand and grow. But we can't do that if we're hanging on to things from the past. It's not possible. Either painful endings or a lot of burdens that you have gone through. See how here she's kind of, this is a back view of this like creature. She's getting ready to take off on this journey. There was an ending, and she's about to spread her wings and follow her intuition and fly. And then it goes back to the Ace of Swords, which is true. The Ace of Swords, Ace of Air, which I'll get to in a second. See how that was in my other reading too, the post-eclipse energies. But yeah, allowing things to end that are burdensome or caused a lot of pain, letting it go, learning about yourself from the process, bringing balance to those emotions so that we're not hanging on to the past or staying in this like wallowing in self-pity when there's awesome things to be found around us, within and around us. So yeah, she's getting ready to like take off on her next journey, but releasing excess. In this spot, it's ways to be more confident about stepping into your power, and I love this. But this is basically the key, guys. Think of it this way. Think of all the emotional baggage, right, that we have from past experiences. Let's just say it's like rocks in a backpack. We can't do that unless we can't take off on the next chapter of our life without taking out those rocks in our backpack. It's a perspective shift. Okay? The journey is going to be much harder unless we take those rocks out of the backpack. That's our emotional baggage. We have to bring balance to that and use the lessons from that baggage in order to grow as a person and move forward. But it requires releasing it. That's when we can have abundance and success. So yeah, in this spot, it's ways to be more confident about stepping into your power. And Messenger of Earth in this deck is the Knight of Pentacles, who's super resourceful and will always come through. It may be a slow process. The Messenger, or the Knight of Pentacles, he's the slowest knight, but he always gets there. Always. Know that if you're doing the work to shift your perspective from that Five of Cups energy of regret, sadness, depression about things that happened in the past, and shift it to a lesson to use for the future and release excess, that's doing the work. Things will change in your favor. Things will change in your favor. It's a slow process, and it's not always linear at sometimes. It's not always linear. So this card here is the Page of Pentacles. And what's cool, and this is about promising new starts. But what's cool about the deck that I chose to use, this card in particular is about when you start doing this work, okay, to stand into your power and being honest with yourself about, self-actualization and analysis, that will start to reflect into your world. So the meaning of this card basically is as within, so without. What that means is your internal universe, basically, inside of you as a person, once you're able to see all the resources that you have available, in other words, your strengths, which does require this, okay? Then that will start to reflect in your environment. It's going to be a slow process. It's not going to be instantaneous, but it will happen. And healing isn't linear. So this card, perception. See how, what I love about this, the main message that I got before I even got to this card was being in alignment in your divine truth, mind, body, and soul. Releasing excess that's not in alignment anymore. Releasing attachments. But this image alone, this is the perception card in this deck, but this image alone, it's just all about, to me, being in alignment. As within, so without. If you're in alignment internally, that's what's going to be reflected in your world. Perception is also, see how she's kind of has her eyes closed? And this is kind of like in the middle, right? Once we start looking and analyzing internally why we make the choices that we make, why are we stuck in these cycles that cause pain and heartache and despair and regret and depression, why? Once we figure that out and shift our perspective and take off this blindfold, see how our eyes are closed there? That's when these things can happen, okay? Third eye, okay? Listen to your intuition. It will guide you, but make sure it's not from this place that is based in fear. What if I apply for the job and I don't get it? That happened before. What if I ask this person out and they say no, they reject me? What if I, just any of those kind of thought patterns? That's what this is about. But what the divine is saying is, use that to learn the lesson from those experiences, self-actualization. But use it to go forward, to make progress in your life. This is about independence, okay? Not listening to your inner script, your inner belief system, your inner self-talk, or things that we were taught from a young age based on our experiences or trauma that may have happened, and thinking for ourselves. See here how she has all these geese around her? In other words, don't be a follower. First of all, don't believe everything you think. Not everything that we think is accurate. But also, do not take the opinions of others to pave your path. This is about realizing your path without other people's opinions. Or that's not based on what other people's opinions of you should be. And this is the whole point of stepping into your power. Independence. Not following the crowd. Not listening to your own shitty self-talk or how others think you should be living. The Page of Wands in this deck, the Page of Wands normally is about like pursuing your passions, right? This, in this deck, this card literally means a balance of masculine and feminine energies within ourself. What reading did I just do yesterday? This is about yin and yang. We all have a universe inside of us, okay? We all have a universe inside of us that we can control. That we can control. Everything externally, we have no control over. Only the divine, the universe, has control over things external to us. We have to listen to ourselves, you guys, and not take the opinions of how other people think we should be behaving. Or what's right for us. This inner balance, masculine and feminine energies, inner balance, okay? That's power. That's power. Ace of Swords. Truth. Divine truth. What are you in alignment, mind, body, and spirit, in alignment within yourself? That's divine truth. That's standing in your power. We have to balance these energies. An example of this is like, and masculine and feminine are just energies, and even for like same-sex relationships or like whatever, there's usually a masculine energy and a feminine energy. But what has become out of balance is knowing when to take action and knowing when to be passive and nurturing. That's the two dynamics. When do we be passive? And when do we be nurturing? When do we be passive and need to kind of be like, or we're in a nurturing energy, or when to take action? When to take action, okay? The action, the doer, the provider, that's usually the masculine aspect. The nurturer, the care, like the caring, loving aspect is more the feminine energy. And that has to be balanced within ourselves, knowing when to be passive, but still nurturing and caring while respecting our personal boundaries, but also knowing when to take action. And it's gonna be a little different for everyone, because everyone is unique. But there is a balance within yourself between those two energies. And once you find that then it will affect your relationships in a positive way. That's when something stable can start. As within, so without. So often I see women that have to, and I was this way too. If you relate to the feminine energy, women were having to be the doers, take action to provide this stability for themselves. Not saying that we should rely on another person for stability. It's just, in a relationship, it should be mutual. It should be this way in a relationship as well. And it was completely imbalanced. But if we balance this in ourselves, that's when it'll have an effect on a relationship. But it does require living independently from what people tell you how you should be. And that's where the imbalance was coming from. Listening to other people's opinions or beliefs on how you should act or behave. It's a perception shift. Take off the blindfold. Okay? As within, so without. That's when stable beginnings can happen. I don't know if I mentioned this in this spot. It's how to be more confident that and be able to trust the universe in regards to stepping in your power. That I just kind of explained it. Be your own person. That is the message from the universe. That is the message from the ancestors, if you watched that video. And then from my video yesterday, balancing the masculine and feminine energies within yourself and in your relationships. That's standing in your power. That's standing in your power. So overall energy at the bottom of the deck, not even kidding you guys. Ace of Swords, Ace of freaking Swords. So we got from here the Ten of Swords, ending, releasing, making the way for the next journey, the next chapter of our life. Truth. If you haven't watched What Do the Ancestors Have to Say, it explains this card more. Okay? This is literally standing in your truth, being your most authentic self, cutting out excess that's causing us to be in this depressed self-pity regret stage, and no abundance can happen because of fear and ego. Okay? Here, this is the King of Cups. Being in tune with your emotions. Then you'll have that emotional abundance and be able to share. Okay? But it requires truth, self-honesty, self-actualization. And this card, cleaning house. How perfect is this, you guys? 3 and 7, 10. 10. Cleaning house. Getting rid of clutter. Mentally and physically. This, like, all that emotional baggage. There needs to be a perception shift. Not ruminating on it, but taking the lesson from it, realizing how it can help us for a future, the lessons, and using it for growth. That's the point. That's the whole point. It'll bring that balance, okay? Balance, justice, scales, 6 of Earth, balance. It'll bring that balance. But it is a little bit of work. Cleaning the house is not fun sometimes. But we can't get back to the ace, without doing this. But this could also mean not just mentally, but physically as well. When I first started awakening, you guys, I purged so much shit in my house that I had been hanging on to. Just not like I was like a hoarder by any means, but like just shit like, just random shit that didn't mean anything. It was excess. This is just symbolic of what this card is saying. But because I was doing that internally, my environment became a reflection of that. As within, so without. As within, so without. Then abundance and stability and success can happen. Okay? Cleaning house is getting rid of that 5 of Cups energy. Getting rid of things that are not supposed to be there anymore. They're not serving. They're burdensome and painful. taking those rocks out of your metaphorical backpack, but also in the physical 3D realm. Get rid of shit you don't need or want anymore. As within, so without, mentally and physically. What's also interesting is when I was purging mentally and physically in regards to my surroundings, my house, my entire body just started breaking out. And it was all of this excess. So you'll notice once you start becoming more in tune with yourself, you're going to start noticing a lot more physical symptoms, how your mental affects your physical and vice versa. It's cyclical, right? I broke out so much. It was all that nasty shit that I'd swept under the rug for so long, so to speak. That was like leaving my body. And after I went through this process and I started following my path of doing this, which I never in a million years would ever thought I would do, my eyes started getting lighter in color. You can't make this shit up, you guys. Like, you can't. Once I went through the purging process mentally and in terms of my surroundings, and I started to be what I wanted to once I released excess and started being what I wanted to see around me, as within, so without, like, my eyes were literally becoming lighter in color. When we're taking action on things in life or not taking action based in ego and fear, this can't be obtained. This can't be obtained. So I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, guys. So once I realized that's what was holding me back in regards to this, for me personally, after I went through all this like huge purging process, I had to let go of what are people gonna think about me? What are my parents gonna, think about me that I'm doing this? Or like just all those fear-based thoughts. And anyone who knows me really well knows that I hate public speaking. I hate the sound of my voice on video. I hate the way my fingers look in the videos. Like, look at this one, it's all messed up. Like, I don't like this part of it, you guys. I don't. But those are my own fear-based thoughts holding me back because of my past experiences, okay? I had to step into this energy, and it's still hard every time I'm about to record, but I have important messages to share. I wish I could take credit for these messages. I can't. I'm the catalyst, okay? I'm the catalyst. But what I started getting back in return is so rewarding that it's worth it for me to overcome my fears because I trust the universe. I stopped listening to what people around me were saying, and I balanced that within myself. I know when I have to be passive and when to take action. This I have to take action on, and it requires me overcoming one of my biggest fears, which is public speaking. It's really hard, you guys, but it can be done, and you will be rewarded, okay? You will be rewarded. Your cup will be full. You will have abundance, stability. And the journey, the self-actualization journey is awesome. It's really cool to be able to see what you could do and how you can influence others. It's going to be different for everyone. Everyone's life purpose is different. In order to pursue mine, I had to overcome one of my biggest fears. This is my divine truth. Take it or leave it. I have important messages that I have to share. I'm the catalyst. This is my truth. I'm a light worker. So yeah, as within, so without. Look at center of the reading. As within, so without. Okay? That's the biggest message from this reading. That's how you stand in your power, and you'll start to see it affect other areas of your life. Okay, guys, awesome messages as usual. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my videos and stuff. It fills my cup. It means a lot to me, and I hope that you get something out of it in some way. All right, guys, talk to you next time. Bye.